Wait. Before I start the video, I got two things to say. Number one, this video has a lot of spoilers on Undertale, so if you haven't already played this game and you're thinking about playing it, or you have like a tiny bit of you that wants to play it, well, you should probably not watch this video then, because going into Undertale blind is honestly the best way to play it, so you probably don't want to watch this. Number two, at the beginning of this video, I also kind of have a little intro to like my personal history with Undertale, I guess, and how I got introduced to the game. So if you don't want to see that, then click this magical timestamp. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say. So let's start the video again. Undertale, to me at least, is a very special game. You see, back in the time of 2015 and early 2016, when I may or may not have started a Roblox YouTube channel. Wow, my karma's getting dangerously low.
Mine is too, man. I'm down to like 749 or something.
Yeah. Apparently, if I don't read this tutorial again, I'm gonna get a bad time. Please end my life at this very moment. As some of you might know, all I had was a Wii U and a terrible HP laptop. Now you know, Nintendo, I love you guys, you know. You've been making some pretty stellar games recently, and for the most part, besides with YouTube, you guys have definitely improved within the last couple of years. But this thing right here, this is a mistake. Like, I honestly feel bad for any kid like me who was stuck in middle school with this absolute piece of garbage. I mean, sure, you had your Smash Bros, you had your Mario Kart, you had Splatoon, you had Bayonetta, but like, even Nintendo knows nobody bought this thing. Like, just right now, recently, conveniently as I was writing this script, the Switch has basically gotten every single good Wii U game besides Smash 4 ported to it. Like, there is literally no reason to buy a Wii U at this point unless you're like a die-hard Smash Bros fan. The only reason I had even bought the thing was because, as some of you might have known from my terrible Switch video, which we're gonna pretend does not exist, along with everything else that I keep locked away deep inside the depths of my screwed up head. Basically, all the consoles I had owned were Nintendo consoles, which isn't a bad thing, but like, I pretty much missed every single good third-party game up until late 2015 that wasn't on a Nintendo console. And even then, the good games on the Wii and 3DS, a lot of them I completely avoided because at the time I was a kid and basically all I would play were Mario and Kirby, with the exception of me beating a few Zelda games and Metal Gear Solid. And yes, I'm talking about the Metal Gear Solid 3 port on the 3DS. Yes, that actually happened. That was, of course, up until some of my old friends showed me what Steam and PC gaming was. And at that point, I had finally attempted playing all those games from before 2015 and even as far back as the 90s. And fun fact, that's actually when I got back into Sonic. But yeah, basically that Christmas, since there were barely any Wii U games to play that were good, I basically bought like 3 or 4 Steam cards for $20 at GameStop and played a ton of games that I had never gotten to play. And among those games was Undertale, and even to this day I still remember being pretty skeptical towards it. All I had seen of it at the time were people saying that the fan base was terrible and a let's play of it on the internet, and I was like, well, this game looks interesting, let's give it a try. And like many other people, I was pleasantly surprised. Honestly, what can I really say about Undertale that hasn't already been said at this point? I know what I'm about to say is gonna sound weird out of context, so I'll just say this right now. I prefer gameplay over story, like any time of the day. Like Doom 2016, you know, I did not buy that game for the story. No, I bought Doom so I could run around and brutally murder everything in my path. But yeah, what were we talking about again? Like I said earlier, when I said the only games I had played up to that point were Nintendo platformers, a few Zelda games, and Metal Gear Solid 3. Besides Metal Gear and the few Zelda games that I played, almost every single game I played was like, Luigi, we have to go save the princess. It was pretty much what I had been used to throughout my wholesome 14 years of gaming. So when Undertale came around, it completely changed that, and actually got me to give RPGs a chance again. The story is pretty well thought out and has an interesting take on even some of the most basic functions of how video games work, like leveling up, for example. The characters and enemies are all pretty memorable and fun to interact with, and the gameplay, while I know people say that's kind of the weak point of Undertale, but honestly I have to disagree with them. While it can be basic at times, it definitely is an innovative concept, and when it's done well, especially within boss fights, it's pretty fun. It combines both bullet hell elements with RPG elements when using the spare and act mechanics, and even then, if you want to fight using the different weapons found throughout the game, using them, especially in the genocide route, is also pretty fun. And oh my god, the soundtrack for this game is absolutely amazing. Like, you know, when I'm in the hood and my friends pass me that aux cord, I connect it to my phone and I'm like, hey guys, you better check this one out. But yeah, jokes aside, soundtrack is amazing, and it's honestly one of the best parts of this game, even if you don't like Undertale. Hell, there's even some great covers of Undertale's soundtracks out there too, like the Determination album by Ace Waters, I think. Really, the only problems I have with Undertale are the fact that there's no run button, and yeah, I know somebody in the comments is already mashing their keyboard right now, saying, but Corey, you can still use the boat person to take you places, you dumb idiot. But still, going all the way back to the start of the game at the end of the pacifist run to talk to all the monsters was still a pain to do. That in the game, in my opinion, gets a little too preachy with its message in the genocide run, and I know someone's also gonna be like, well Corey, you do know you're actually supposed to not brutally murder everybody in the game like a psychopath? And I mean, you know, yeah, you know, I'd probably, probably should have killed everybody. But let's be honest about the genocide run. Without doing that, you miss so much more information about the characters in the story. In the pacifist and neutral route, except for Undyne, basically all of them are just joke machines. The only characters who really get their full backstory told are Papyrus, Alphys, and Toriel. And that's pretty much it. You don't get to learn anything about how Sans can actually just end your life in 3 seconds. You don't learn that Undyne is actually somewhat able to manage determination, you know, before she melts and dies. You don't learn that Alphys was actually able to get everyone to escape. Hell, you don't even learn the whole evil demon thing with Chara actually being the first human to come underground in the intro. That is completely non-existent, and you would have no context to that unless you played the genocide route. Like, there's so much more meat in the genocide route for the story department than in the pacifist route or the neutral route. So even though the game tries to act like, oh man, you should really feel bad for doing this, we're gonna turn the music down and it's gonna be like a creepypasta where we're gonna have bleeding eyes. At the end of the day, doing the genocide route is still how you get all the story information without using YouTube or the internet. And it's sort of the same thing with boss fights, because the game is trying to make you feel bad for going through with the genocide route, like with this tedious grinding and like I said, slowed down music. But then you do the complete opposite and give us the best boss fights in the game. Like, Sans and Undyne are so much fun to fight because they actually give you a challenge and test your abilities, which completely contradicts the whole, well, the genocide route is supposed to be boring argument. But despite those minor issues I have with this game, I still 3 years later would say that it's one of my favorite games of all time. The story's great, the gameplay is new and innovative, and the soundtrack's amazing. But you know, now that I've established how great the game is, let's talk about something that isn't so great. As some of you might have guessed from the title, the fanbase. Now you know, as much as I like Undertale for all the things that it did right, I don't think anyone can defend how terrible its fanbase was at the height of its popularity back in the beginning of 2016. In fact, let's actually go over the two biggest reasons why its fanbase was so heavily radioactive. Starting off with its over-glamorization. Right off the bat, I'll admit it right here, right now, I was kinda sort of a part of the problem here. In fact, those of you who've kept up with my past might even still remember this gem.
Right, you frickin' pricks! I will destroy you all. Frickin' bricks. Sonic Adventure is the best of all. And my name is Corey, and I like Sonic Adventures too. And I know life is.
Shut up, that's why you said adventures.
Shut up. I play Undertale, and that's all I do. And then I rub it in my friend's face, even though he doesn't even care. Oh yeah, that's how I do.
You don't know me.
You have no clue. I try to rhyme, but I Scooby-Doo.
But yeah, well, I didn't necessarily consider myself a part of the Undertale fandom. I was still kind of one of those people who were like, you know what? Undertale is actually one of the most intellectually advanced games of all time, alright? Like, you know, to be fair, you really do have to have a high IQ to understand Undertale. Like, this game is it's so deep and emotional, you know? That it would actually teach criminals in jail. I'm talking fucking FBI's most wanted, serial killers, all of them. Maybe even world-class leaders, like, you know, our boy, the Pope.
And that's why, as my gift to the Pope, I gave him a copy of Undertale.
Set him in front of this game, and like I said, maybe even the most Chad alpha male criminal. Set him in front of a computer with Undertale on it, and this dude, I fucking guarantee you, this man will start breaking down and crying at the part when you spare Toriel. Because at that moment, that's when he will realize the true meaning of friendship. And, yeah, no. Sorry to disappoint all of the die-hard Undertale fans out there, but even though I like Undertale and I still think it's a good game, it's not the second coming of Jesus Christ, okay? Like, from an outsider's perspective, I can see why somebody could see its fan base as a little preachy. And now for the second main problem I have with Undertale's fan base, the whole, oh my god, you're playing the game wrong! How fucking dare you make different choices than me in this choice-based game where you're supposed to make your own choices. What is wrong with you, buddy? You're a bad person. Argument. And I'll admit, you know, I was also kind of the problem here. In fact, I even bought this dude JVR. Everybody give him another round of applause. You know how we do it here on LilCVG. But yeah, I basically kept telling him not to kill anything on his first playthrough when he didn't know anything about the game and like spazzed out every time he killed something on accident. I was like, nope, you gotta reset the game. It's so utterly stupid that people say this argument, even with other games that aren't Undertale. If the game gives you the option to do something, even if it's obviously the morally wrong choice, like the evil choice, the bad ending of the game, the developer clearly intended for somebody to take that route. And even then, it's a video game, my dude. Like, just because I might have killed doesn't mean I'm a fucking serial killer. Like, no joke, people actually got really angry at Markiplier a while back just because he accidentally killed a fictional goat mom. Like, sorry to tell you this, dude, but calm down, alright? She's not real. She is not a real person. Other than the over-glamorization and you're playing the game wrong argument, those are really the main two problems that I see with Undertale's fan base. Now, let's fast forward to 2018 and address how Undertale is viewed now. So, you guys remember everything I said at the beginning of this video? You know about how the game's actually pretty good? Yeah, well, you know what? That actually never happened. Unique gameplay combining both RPG elements and bullet hell. Nope. An amazing soundtrack that has great covers and remixes of it. Nah. Almost every video game reviewer ever giving this game pretty high scores and praises at its release. Like all of these people.
I've played a lot of RPGs over the years. About 3 of those were good. Undertale joins that small group.
A game full to the brim with eccentric humor, moments of genuine heartwarming, a truly incredible cast of characters, and some very special twists indeed.
It challenges all of the fundamental elements of the genre by being a simple little game. There's no repetitive grinding, no corny melodramatic dialogue. It's so concise, and yet it says more in 5 hours than most games do in 70.
I would be happy to label this to be a really fucking good game, and you should totally play it if you haven't already.
Nope, it just never happened. It just never happened. It was obviously staged by the Reptilian Army guys, so, you know, yeah, it just never happened. No, but seriously, let's just talk about this argument for real now. I've said it before and I'll say it again since the internet doesn't seem to understand this, but bad fan base does not equal bad source material. Like, this argument is one that I've seen time and time again, and it's just so stupid. Like, sure, I understand a fan base pushing you farther away from a game. Hell, that even somewhat applies to me currently with this new game I'm sure none of you have ever heard about, and it's called Fortnite. Like, again, I think Fortnite is a fun game. You know, I'd say I'm pretty good at it. What? But the fan base of this game has turned into hell, alright? This game's fan base is absolutely atrocious right now. Mainly because, you know, it's infested by normies. Like, I cannot even walk into my own school without some kids screaming about Fortnite. Like, again, I like Fortnite, but pretending like it's the only good game that has ever come out within the last 10 years? Yeah, not gonna lie, that's a tad bit of an over-exaggeration, isn't it? That and the fact that I've been seeing it everywhere, non-stop, to the point where kids in my class are asking the teachers if they play Fortnite. Like, what are you doing? No, just don't do that. Like, again, I completely understand a fan base pushing you away from interacting with a new thing or liking something, I guess. But unlike everybody else with any other thing that has a fan base, am I gonna say that the game is bad because of said fan base? No. And I'm not saying you can't call Undertale or any other thing that I mentioned a bad thing. It's okay if you dislike Undertale, but at least play it before you do, instead of just judging it because, look at this cringy picture I found. Obviously, this reflects the actual quality of the game. In fact, the other day I was scrolling through Twitter, and someone was legitimately trying to say that Undertale was a bad game because somebody drew on Sans Undertale. And I get it, right? Like, this scenario right here shouldn't happen. Oh man, you already know I finna start this boy right now. Wait, how do you spell this again? I think it's UNDERTAIL, because, you know, it's under plus tail. I mean, what could go wrong? You already know this is probably gonna be one of my greatest gaming experiences of all time. Now, oh, the game's loaded. Well, let me just look here. Yeah, but that shouldn't happen, you know. Honestly, I genuinely have no idea what inspires some people to draw these cursed images. But again, this literally happens to everything popular ever. In fact, there's a series that one of the YouTubers I watched does named Elvis the Alien called People Ruin Everything. And you know, I'll put it up on the screen, but if you want to give that a watch, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll warn you though, when I watched his video on Sonic, I'm not gonna lie, I think I came down with a case of irreversible brain damage and chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. But you know, look how I turned out though. I'm perfectly fine. But yeah, like I was saying, the more popular something is, the more of a chance there's gonna be tons and tons of cringy shit coming from its fan base. In fact, you guys remember what happened to Rick and Morty?
Stop it. Get some help.
Just like with Undertale, Rick and Morty, it's a decent show. I think it does have its problems, but I'm not gonna say that it's bad just because, oh my god, somebody did a cringy fan art of it. The show's instantly 1 out of 10. Worst show I've ever watched. It honestly baffles me that people actually do this, but I digress. I think you all get the point by now. Really, you shouldn't judge the quality of something based off of its fan base, but by the actual original thing. Or at least do what I've done with most of the things on the internet that I like, and don't even associate yourself with the fan bases in the first place. Because at the end of the day, even though there are good things in Undertale's fan base, like the music remixes and, you know, actual good fan art, the vocal minority of spazzes are just gonna make it look bad. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.